Time of the year when everything begins to ready for harvest, all the long-term fruit is ripening, and we need to think about protecting it from birds and the bees and the squirrels and the chipmunks. And that's one thing we did last week with our grapevines. We pruned back all of the excess leaf growth, and we covered the vines with netting to prevent the birds from harvesting the grapes before we get the chance to pick it. And that's something you have to think about for the whole garden. So you probably, if you're growing any kind of fruits or vegetables, you probably have already withstood some rodent damage, chipmunks, squirrels. And if you are seeing that, then you really need to get out and do some harvesting. But that's just part one of what we do this time of the year. We also have to think about our product for next year, what we're going to grow next year. And two of the plants vegetables that we grow here that we save seed for are our garlic and our butternut squash. What we grow in New England is what's called a hardneck garlic. That is identified by this stem that's like a pencil, it's so hard. This garlic is native to the Balkan regions, Northern Europe, and there's many varieties of it. This particular one is called German, and we grow almost 1,200 heads of garlic, which means that we need 1,200 cloves. And what we try to do is identify the larger heads with the larger cloves so that we can plant them next year. Well, by next year I mean in October of this year for harvesting next year. So 6 weeks we'll be planting cloves. This is Peskin, this is German. You can see the difference in size. The downside is that because you only get about 4 to 5 cloves of garlic per head, for 1,200 heads of garlic we need to save 300 heads in summer. So what we're looking for this year is something that gives us a few more cloves per head, and we'll try growing those next year. The whole concept of saving seed and what we save dates back to the mid-1800s, a process called hybridization. Modern hybridizing was credited to a guy named Luther Burbank. He grew up in Lancaster, Massachusetts, and he won a contest for a new type of potato called the russet potato. And he took the $200 he made and started a hybridizing business. He was so famous at his time that when he passed away, Henry Ford purchased his laboratory and greenhouses and moved them to the Henry Ford Museum. So we practice something like that here at the garden, not just with the garlic, but with our butternut squash. Our butternut squash is typically bigger than what you would normally get at the supermarket, and we look for something that has a lot of meat, that's a lot of flesh for cooking, and it shapes and looks like a butternut squash. What we shy away from is saving seed from something like this. This is a very large seed head, so that's great, but there's really not much squash here at all. So we don't want to save something like this. We're really looking for something that gives us a lot of meat. So this year, our winner is this 11-pounder. It's all meat. It has a very large seed head. So we're going to save the seed from this plant, or this fruit, and grow it next year. We have what we call volunteers, and this year we've had a pumpkin that volunteered in the garden. So we'll be saving the seed from this guy. It's more decorative, it's not for food, but it is a pretty good sized pumpkin, and it grew all by itself. Everything we harvest goes into storage for a couple of weeks. So we've already harvested some potatoes, and we'll continue to harvest until we get them all into the shed. And then as the call comes in for the pantry, we bring the vegetables to the pantry.